Good morning, everybody. Good morning, people. Happy New Year. How are we doing? I trust you all enjoy your New Year celebration. I did too. Please share this show. Let other people benefit from the information we are sharing today. Because a lot of people are suffering from this ignorance. So we want to talk about it, especially now that our children, our young ones are planning to settle down to have their own families. We need to talk about important information they need to be conscious of. Please share this show, share with others. You can also um, double tap the screen, your screen to let TikTok know that we are doing something reasonable here. It is important. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. As we all know, this platform talks about wellness. We advise, we advocate for healthy living, and that's basically what we do here. We talk about what will make us feel better health wise, and that doesn't, limited to what we eat, as in nutrition. We talk about cycle of life, and a lot of things happen in the world that some of us don't have clue about it. And as an advocate for wellness and healthy living, I took it upon myself to advocate for nothing but wellness. So it will do you a good to share with other people. And I believe that some of you have seen the video that I posted yesterday. I think it was this morning, early this morning, around 3 o'clock in the morning. Where a guy was actually fighting for his baby being swiped. I believe you've seen the video, and he ended up, suing a court. He ended up suing an hospital where he gave birth to that child. We're going to talk about what actually happened, because when I watched that video, I felt like, what is going on with us? Why information is not shared? Why are we not being advised on time before we take, radical, unreasonable decision or step that can hurt us, hurt our future? So that's the reason why I want to talk about it. And if you can remember, I mentioned it last week that I'm going to be talking about it this week, which is today, and I'm fulfilling my promise. So you do your own part by sharing this show. Please and please, I want you to share it, because I've seen many people falling into this type of dilemma. Friends, families, you know, um, colleagues, business associates, people around me. And I realized that they fell into that situation because they lack information. So, what we are going to talk about today, I will start by asking a question that says, is it possible for a genotype AA parent, either man or woman, that is married to a AS, or you can say SA, to give birth to SS? I shared this video on my WhatsApp broadcast, and many people replied, everybody says no, which is true. The answer is no. Absolutely no way anyone with this type of genotype, AA and AS, giving birth to SS. It is never possible. And I also, if you look at my background on TikTok, you will see the sketch that I draw out to, to better explain how it all started, how it happens, how we pass genes, we call it allele, to our children. It's right there behind me. So we can see that it is impossible for a genotype AA marrying to AS or SA to give birth to SS. It is definitely impossible. But in that video that I posted and I share with you guys on my WhatsApp, it seems like it is possible. So we're going to talk what exactly happened in that video, or what we should have done to prevent that. Even after it happens, what we should have done to prevent all these bad reputation we are giving to the hospitals and the chaos, the trauma that guy caused himself and his family. This shouldn't have happened at all. If one particular step I'm going to talk about today have been taken, that step has been taken, all this drama wouldn't have happened at all. And that is why I said information sharing is very, very important. Like I said, it is never possible. And I'm very sure of that. And I'll prove it to you. And I don't even need to prove it, because some of you know that. And for the benefit of those of you that have no clue of what genotype it's all about, you're going to learn a lot about it today. If I'm not going into detail, I'm going to give you summary, at least to the extent of you understanding what AS, SS and SA it's all about. All right, so let's get started. Once again, welcome to Healthy Living with Bofa channel. This is the platform you want to be every Saturday, 6 p.m. We bring it back to 6 p.m. Nigerian time, African time, because many people go to bed by 7:30. So we want them to take advantage of this benefit. So we're bringing it back to 6 p.m. African time, and that will be exactly 11 a.m. Eastern time and 12 p.m. Central time. So let's just get started. If you are ready, I am also damn ready. Okay. All right, so you want to do me a favor and go ahead, share the show. If you're just joining us, double tap your screen to give TikTok, if you're on TikTok, to let them know that we're doing something, meaningful, educative here for TikTok to keep us on here. I'm not going to take much of your time because I also have a lot of places to go. Every third day of December, January, I also always share food to homeless people. So the food is being prepared, so we're going to share it. So immediately after the show, I will be rushing out. So we won't have quiz today because I have to do that. So please go ahead and share the show. Let's get started. Like I said, we're going to be talking about genotype today. We want to learn what that exactly means to us. Now, there are a few things I want us to talk about in that video, and that will lead us to knowing about genotype. The man mentioned a few points in that video, and I need you to pay attention to those things, those statements. If you have watched it, you understand what I'm talking about. If you have not watched it, you please go ahead, click the plus sign, you go to my TikTok page and watch it there. And after you finish watching, you can come back and see what actually happened in that thing to give you more clarity on that. So the man mentioned few points in that quote that I want us to also learn from. He said he visited the hospital. The hospital he gave birth to, where he gave birth to his daughter. The hospital in another city. This thing happened in Nigeria. It's a real life story. This is not a movie. It is a real life story that happened. He visited a couple of hospitals. He attended seminars. He mentioned sickle cell foundation, classes that he visited, he attended. He conversed with professionals, and I believe they are health professionals, because there's no way he will be, speaking to someone who have no clue about health or what actually happens to him. So I believe he spoke to health professionals. Now, after he has done all this, he was convinced within himself that it is never possible that he can give birth to SS. He was sure about it, and that was what led him to suing the hospital where his wife gave birth. So, now, I just felt like something is not right here. I look at all those journeying from hospital to the seminar to professionals and stuff, and I now ask myself that, why is no one telling this guy, beginning from the hospital where he gave birth in, why no one can tell him to go back to hospital, or they do it to him there, to go back to lab, and both himself and the wife retest themselves to be sure? Because if he has done that, it's possible that all this journeying, spending, wasting of time, this trauma wouldn't have happened at all. The focus will be on the child alone. There won't be any reason for him taking the hospital to the court, because this is a reputation we are talking about. And no hospital that is sued will realize at the end of the day that they sued them for any good reason. It is never for a good reason. The hospital reputation is affected when anyone sues the hospital. They take the hospital to the court, either for violating the health laws or poor service, incompetence, and more. And that's a bad reputation. And at the end of the day, you realize that this hospital is not the problem. You are the problem. What do you think is going to happen? That is number one thing. Now, no one is telling him to go back. Take your wife and yourself and retest yourself. If you claim to be AA, he said he's AS. Of course, he look AS. If you see the guy, he look AS. Except if you don't know what I'm talking about. And his wife claimed to be AA. And that was why he was sure within himself before he realized the truth, that there's no way they can give birth to SS. Now, no one is telling him to do all that. I don't know why that happened in Nigeria. including the seminar he claimed that he attended. Why is it the judge that have no idea of what health? Of course, he have an idea, but it's not it's not our profession. Why is it the judge that have to tell the guy after doing DNA to go and retest? Because I am positive that his wife is not AA. If they retest themselves, they do genetic testing, there is no way the wife would be AA, because he himself look AS. If it is not SS, it's AS. And the wife can never be AA. So what they should have done in the beginning is what they are doing at the end, when things has already been affected. The names, the stress he went through, the money spent, the time wasted, it's just too much. He lost his job due to all this drama. We have seen many people giving birth to SS and they still live their lives. They are alive. There's no drama here and there. And that's the reason why I want to talk about this, because if you are going into marriage, please, you need to be conscious of your partners. You need to ask questions. Please. Come on. Now, let's now talk about what we need to do. We have seen the error. The guy and his family, including the hospital. I'm not sure if the hospital have told him and he refused to do the test, to retest himself, to do genetic testing again to be sure that he's actually AS and his wife is also AA as they claimed. Hospital must have told him that. The seminar must have also advised him to do so. Maybe he just ignored all those advice, or probably they did not. And I don't see that guy to be someone who can reject or refuse to do things that is so important. That is what I want us to pay attention to. So I don't want to talk about this in detail. If you want to watch the story, it's a real life story that happened in Nigeria. It's on my page on TikTok. Go and watch it. You will understand what I'm talking about. The guy gave birth to SS and he claimed to be AA genotype, and the wife is, he claimed to be AS, and I think he said his wife is AA, which means that they can never give birth to SS. So he now sued the hospital that they swiped his child. And at the end of the day, they did DNA. They realized that the child is his. The judge now advised him to go and retest to be sure where the problem is coming from. And this is what I said. Either the hospital or the seminar he attended or all the professionals he spoke to should have told him this in the beginning. So for us to avoid all this error, this drama, the trauma he has caused himself, because it can happen to anybody. That is the reason why we are doing this today. Okay? Now, it started with children. Let's start with children. For children watching right now, and you are not yet of age for marriage. So what I'm basically saying is, for children who are not yet of age for marriage or childbearing, I want you to know that my discussion today on genotype and inheritance, because when you pass things to your child, whether physically, spiritually, biologically, you are giving your child inheritance. So my discussion today on genotype and inheritance is not meant to make you worried at all. Instead, the goal is to build your health literacy, your health literacy and self-awareness. That is exactly what I'm doing today. And I'm saying this because your consciousness should focus on your own health management and understanding your body's instruction manual. This is what I'm talking about today. And that's the reason why I want to say this. And the earlier, the better. Before I educate you on this, what young children and their guardians, either your mother, whoever is taking care of you, should be conscious of. That is depending on your specific genotype. Let me tell you a bit about what genotype is and how it is passed to the children from their parents. Let's talk about that. Because if I'm telling you do this, do that, do this, and you don't know what exactly I'm talking about, I'm just grumbling. I'm not making any sense. I'm not passing any information you need to know. So let's get familiar, be acquainted with that particular information. What is genotype? Some people are just hearing it. They have no idea of what that is. They're just hearing AAAS. They don't know how it happens, where this is coming from. And that is why I said understanding your genotype before marriage. You need to know that. Now, in biology, a genotype is the complete set of genetic material, you can call it DNA, that an organism carries. You are an organism. I am an organism. We carry this type of gene called genotype. And more specifically, it talks about the unique combination of alleles. That is the different versions of a gene. That is what allele means. That an individual inherits from their parent for a particular trait. That is what genotype is. It's in your mother. Your mother passed it to you. Now, here are the key aspects of this genotype. Okay, let's know the aspect of it. The number one is blueprint. Why you can see someone's eyes, someone's eyes color, maybe the skin color, the hair color, all those things. If you can see it like this, that is what we call phenotype. It's something you can see, as in, oh, look at his nose. It's pointing. You can see it. It's phenotype. That is what we can say as phenotype. You cannot see their genotype, anyone's genotype, without a genetic test. You can see phenotype. That's why you see people looking tall, looking fat, looking short, dark, these with hair, things like that. That is phenotype. But the gene that makes it happen is what we call genotype. It is underlying code that tells the body how to develop. That is genotype. The blueprint. Okay? The second aspect is inheritance. I need you to pay attention because this is very important. And please share this show. The inheritance, this is what you receive. You receive one allele, that is gene, from your mother and one from your father. Now, the combination of these two makes up your genotype. for that specific gene. That is what we call inheritance. You inherit it from your mother. Your child will inherit it from you. On and on and on and on like that. The third aspect is called representation. Representation is the third one. Scientists usually represent genotype using letters. For instance, in the content of sickle cell, they will use AA. We call that AA homozygous. That means two of the same normal alleles, gene. Let me be using gene for you to understand it better. I don't want to use medical name. Gene. You have two of the same normal gene. That is AA, and it is called homozygous. Okay? When it comes to AS, it comes to erythrozygous. What that means is one normal and one sickle allele, a gene. Let me put this thing. Sorry about that. I think you understand what I'm talking about now. I'm sorry, I forgot to put all this thing in silence. So that is what we call erythrozygous, AS. You have one normal, which is A, and the other one is S, which is sickle. That is gene, right? Now, what is different between genotype and phenotype? Let's talk about that. You will have a clarity on that now, clear understanding. And it is also helpful to distinguish this, between these two, words. These two closely related terms, it is important we differentiate it. I told you that genotype is the internal genetic code, which is DNA, while the phenotype is the outward observable physical trait. And I give example of your eyes color. And when it comes to observation of both, you can identify that genotype through DNA testing. That is lab work. You cannot do there's no way you can know your genotype without testing. Going to the lab, your blood will be withdrawn, then they will do it. And when it comes to phenotype, you can only identify it by looking at the person. For instance, height, color, complexion. That is phenotype. Now, let me use analogy. The genotype is like when you have book, and in that book you have couple of recipe to make cake. In that book there is recipe written in that book. That is genotype. You are only looking at it. You can't even take it out. You can't feel it. That is the way genotype is in your body. When it comes to phenotype, when you actually go to the market, you buy all the ingredients and you bake that cake, you see that cake like this. That is phenotype. That is the best analogy for that. That is the best way you can understand. And I call it analogy. All right? Now, why is all this matter? Why it matters? Let's talk about it. Understanding your genotype is essential for, number one, predicting health risk. Identify if you carry genes for conditions like sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, or certain cancer, it is very important. Understanding all this, that okay, I'm carrying AA, I'm carrying AS, I'm carrying SS. It is important for all these health risks, such as cancer, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell. You need to know whether you carry this genotype. Number 2 reason you need to understand it, why it's essential, is for family planning, which is so much in my heart. Family planning. And that is exactly what happened in that video to that guy. Knowing the probability of passing specific trait or disorder to your children, it's very important. You need to know that you are going to form your own family, and that takes a lot of understanding in this type of gene called genotype. Otherwise, you find yourself in a mess, in an emotional trauma. And number 3 reason is it helps you personalize medicine. You see, all those of you that go to the hospital all the time, doctor is giving you medicine. Your doctor knows your genotype, and they look at it to give you medication, because it helps doctor determine which treatment might work best based on your specific genetic makeup. If you don't know, I'm telling you, by now, a 10-year-old child should know his or her genotype. Now, someone asked whose gene determines a child's genotype on WhatsApp. They asked me that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce to you, to inform you that in biological inheritance, neither parent is more dominant in determining the child's genotype. Instead, both parents contribute exactly 1/2 of the child's genetic makeup. It is not one-sided. It is not about your father, it's not about your mother. It's both of them. They must contribute because they bring you, the sperm and the egg comes together and make you. So both of them are donating. Please double tap your screen and share this information. This is very important. And this is where we should be seeing ourselves. And I wonder, I feel so bad when you are talking about an important information like this and people are not taking advantage. But when they see a video or live show where people are talking about all this immorality, all this, abusing, elderly people, we want to rush there. We want to be everywhere, contributing, commenting, and saying all week. But information like this, you will not see people. And that is why we make error. That is why we find ourselves in this trauma, this headache. That is not necessary. It is not necessary if we have done the right thing. So both parents are responsible for this gene. For this genetic makeup, they are responsible. And here is how the process works. I have told you what genotype is all about and how does it work. How is it distributed? How do you get it from your parent? We have about 3 things that happens when giving that gene. Number 1, we call it 50-50 rule. Equal contribution. 50-50 rule. Humans are diploid organisms, meaning that we have 2 copies of every gene. When parents create a child, the father provides 1 gene, allele, via the sperm. The mother provides 1 allele via the egg. What is the result? The child's genotype is a unique 50-50 combination of one gene from each parent. And that is the 50-50 rule right there. That is number one, how it works. Now, number two, how it works is called the law of segregation. What does that mean? The specific gene a child gets from a parent is determined by random chance. For instance, in the AA and AS pairing, you mentioned that the guy. Now, it is not about mother do it, father has nothing to do. No. The AA parent only has one A. Only have A. Nothing. That's all he has. A. A gene to give. He doesn't have S. He doesn't have any other thing. It's A. That is parent with AA. Every sperm or egg that produce that particular, that will carry an A, that is what you have. Either a man or a man or a woman carrying AA. That is all they have. They can't give S. And that was the reason why I said it is not possible for that guy, which you all know, and a lot of people replied on my WhatsApp broadcast, that they cannot produce SS. They cannot. Because the mother that claimed to have AA, to be AA genotype, she only has AA. She doesn't have nothing. So how on earth they will have SS? Where is it coming from? And under this segregation law, the AS parent has both an A and an S. There is a 50% chance that these particular people carrying AS will pass on the A, and a 50% chance they will pass on the S. That's all they have. Whoever is carrying AS, that's all they have. So it is now that neither parent forces their genotype. It is interaction of these two randomly selected genes that creates the child's final genotype. Let me use myself as an example. I am AA. My husband is AS. We have two AA and we have one AS. And we only have one AS because my husband is AS. If my husband is AA, there is no way on earth we will have AS. Everybody in the household will be AA. That's the way it works. Because that's what I have. That's what I give. That's what he has. It will only give either A or S if he doesn't have AA. If it is not AA. So I really want you to understand how this works so that you will go back home and retest. And the reason why you will do that, I'll get there shortly. Now let's think of as the internal instruction manual, or you can call it blueprint for your body. Parent number 1, for instance, is having AA. You get A. Parent number 2 is having AS. You get either A or S. So both of them come together and produce either AS or SS. Only one SS. Only one AS, not A. There's no way there is there is a 0% chance of producing SS if you are AA and AS come together as husband and wife and produce a child. You will never on earth produce SS. 50% AA and 50% AS. Period. No bargain. Nothing to talk about. Now, in summary, why the mother contributes slightly more total DNA due to the mitochondria. We call it mitochondria, the energy producing part of the cell. The specific genotype for traits like sickle cell, AAAS, SS, is determined equally by the single gene contribution from both parents. That's the summary of all I've been saying. Lataro. Now, what this message is telling you is that you should know your genotype as a child. Not when you grown up and become adult and you want to get married, you want to settle down. Excuse me. Says who? It is not when you are ready for it to make up your children. That is not when you should know your genotype. Know it as a child. Now, parents, especially mothers, you are the main bone of contention here. You are the one to do the work. Mothers, because a lot of mothers, they are busy doing something else. If they don't go to party, they do something else instead of making sure that their children are on the right path. Instead of giving their children sex education, health education, a lot of things they need to know in marriage, they do not do that. And that's why you see them going to their children to go and sit with them, taking care of their children and nursing their babies for them. Why do you have to do that? Teach them why they are still under your roof. You are still their custodian. Teach them all they need to know. Not that they go to their husband, they married, and they are giving you a call. Mommy, how do I cook rice? How do I make eba? How do I do this? Excuse me. No, we don't do that. Teach them all they need to know. Teach them their private part. They teach them in school, but to confirm if they actually get it. If they actually know, because sometimes they teach our children things in school. Some children, we have different ways of learning. Some learn, when by gesturing, when you do like this, you write. Some when you actually display in practice, they see, they learn through that. Okay? When they teach them in school, some don't still get it. Not all the students in the class will understand what the teacher teaches in school. Some learn from their parents. If parents make it their own responsibility to ask their children, hey darling, what did you learn in school today? And the child will tell you, sex education. Ask them question. Do you understand? No, ma. Okay, this. If you as a parent don't understand, both of you go through your child's book, notebook. Summarize, review with them, teach them. All these things they will teach them in school. But some of them get it while they are talking with their parent, where they have dialogue with their parents at home. So that is why I said parents, mothers, we have a lot to do. A lot to do. And here is what you and your children should be conscious of, depending on your child, specific genotype. If the child is AS, let me start with that. That is a carrier or trait of sickle cell. He's a carrier of that sickle cell. Or he has a trait of sickle cell. If a child is AS, Number one thing you need to be conscious of is called knowledge of status. Knowledge of status. They should grow. Let your children grow up knowing they are AS. This removes stigma and make it a normal part of their health history. They know this is part of my history. The first thing you should know is your AS, your genotype. As a child, you should make sure that your children is aware of extreme physical stress. That is number two. Because in a rare cases of extreme dehydration, very high altitudes, intense physical oversuction, over-exhaustion. Because a lot of people don't know what over-exhaustion is. Physical over-exhaustion is lifting heavy items, repetitive motions, what else? Awkward posture, or when you suddenly move your body forcefully. That is for AS. You should always make sure that they are aware of this extreme physical stress. Because as a AS carriers can sometimes experience mild symptoms when doing all this. They should be taught to stay hydrated and listen to their body during sport. Because some of them still do sport. Our children love sport so much. And they are AS. So let's teach them that. We also want to make sure that future planning, they are aware of their future planning. Honestly, this is important. As they enter their teenage years, they should be conscious that their choice of a future partner will involve a genotype check to ensure the health of their own future children. The AS I have in my family is a daughter. The first thing I told her when she I think she's 10 or like around 10 or 8. I told her, and I'm still telling her now because she's not married yet and she's 22 now. Any man you want to bring to me, do not bring AS. Do not bring SS. Or the first thing you should ask that man is your genotype. And it must be AA. Don't fall in love without asking that question. Do not fall in love with anybody, including the one that have AA. Don't go and marry SS. I don't want it. Make sure that you have a man, either AS or AA. That is still okay. Do you understand? And when he tells you that I am AA or AS, bring it up. Tell him to show you the paper. If possible, you do it your own too. Repeat it. Be an example of what you are asking him to do. Do your own, or both of you should go. Before you fall in love, do not try it. Ask question. That is very important. And that is for a child with AS. If the child is SL, that is sickle cell anemia. Children with SS need to be much more body conscious to stay healthy. They live, SS genotype, they live. They live. I've seen an adult with that. When they also give birth. So don't let anybody scare you that sickle cell cannot live. Say so. But if you are conscious of all this I'm going to say, you will live. Number one, hydration is the key. They must be conscious of drinking water constantly, because dehydration is leading to cause of crisis, pain episodes. When the guy mentioned my daughter is in pain, now I'm like, oh Jesus, nobody's talking to this guy. He shouldn't feel any pain if he hydrates herself every time. That child is a girl. And number 2 things for sickle cell you need to be conscious of is temperature sensitivity. They should be conscious of avoiding extreme cold or sudden temperature changes. Some of them jump into a cold pool. This can trigger pain. Let us educate our children or anyone with that particular trait. Number 3 is pain communication. Pain communication, they need to be taught to speak up earlier when they feel the pain, rather than waiting until it becomes severe. No, you don't do that. That is what we call preventive care. You prevent it before it becomes so severe. And the last one, the SS, want to be conscious of is infection prevention. Being conscious of your hand washing and hygiene is vital. Very, very vital. Because their immune system may be more vulnerable to that particular area, infections going up and down right there. So hygiene is a key. If you are SS and you are not hygienic, you are just hurting yourself. You're doing yourself a big harm. Not good. All right? Number 3, if the child is AA, of course, that is a normal one. We need empathy and support here. From you guys, from us, our AA. And that is what I'm doing today. We only need support and empathy. While they don't have health risk, they should be conscious of how to support siblings or friends who might have AS or AA. They are protector. Be their protector. That's the rule. Because in many families, the AA child becomes a health advocate for the family, helping to remind siblings to drink water, to rest, to do away with all these stressful activities. That is why they are protector. They are protectors to them, to AA and AS. Now, in general, consciousness for all children. I'm talking about children now. I'm not talking about adults. I'm going to adults in a minute. In general now, regardless of genotype, young children benefit from learning. Number 1, genetic is not a fault. Learn that. If you don't learn it from now, there's no way you will learn it. Learn that genetic is not a fault. See, like it's not your fault. They should be conscious that genotype is not their fault. Genotypes are like eye color or height, inherited traits that no one chose. This prevents genotype bullying or feeling guilty, like, oh, I'm AS, I'm sickle cell. People will be bullying because they bully them in school, and they become guilty that, oh, I am. No, it is not your fault. You inherit it. Let them understand that they inherit it. It's not their fault. It's not something they go somewhere and pick it. No. It is passed on to them. This thing is passed on to them. And you also want to have a health responsibility. Health is a responsibility to you. Learning that We all have different codes in our body, in our blood. Help children to take ownership of their health early on. It helps them. If they know that I am responsible for this, it is my gene, because you are also going to pass it on to your family, your children. So it is your health responsibility. Now, for adults, entering a serious relationship, the advice is shift from general awareness to proactive responsibility. You have to be proactive. That's why we call it proactive responsibility. Genotype compatibility is not just a medical fact. It is a foundation part of building a life together. That is what genotype is. It is your foundation. And if you don't know by now, you will fall into error. And when you realize that you are in error, you will experience a trauma, emotional trauma, financial constraint, physical trauma, mental trauma. You will experience it if you don't know by now that genotype is your foundation part of building your life together with any woman or a man on earth. Then you will suffer for it. You will definitely suffer for it. Now, here is the essential advice for adults. Number 1, know your status early. Do not wait until the wedding preparations have started or until a pregnancy occurs to check your genotype. Don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Do it now before you go into any relationship with any man, before you go on a date. In fact, before the man tells you that I am interested and you feel that it's your crush, you can date him. It can be your husband. You can produce with him. You can have, settle down and have a life family with him or with her. That is in fact, on a date, that should be part of your discussion. Don't just go on a date and be eating all the food at the restaurants. For what? Is that important? You are still going to eat many foods. The most important thing, go on that date. Ask questions. Don't be scared. It's your life partner. If you choose him or her, ask questions. It starts from there. Test early and ask questions. If you do your part and she does her part, there shouldn't be any trauma, any problem, any chaos. If it's not going to work, you have done your part earlier. And if she said, I am AS and you are AS, and I am SS and you are AS, know that there's no go area. And when you do your test early, verify. That is why I told my daughter, when you ask questions, make sure you see, verify. Because a lot of people don't even know what genotype is. When you ask them, what is your genotype? Because they have been hearing it from other people saying it. They will say, oh, I think I'm AA. I think you think, or you are sure. No, it should be I am, not I think. Yes. Verify. Because many adults assume they are AA because they don't get sick. Because you don't get sick, you assume you are AA. And this is a mistake we always make, people make, our children make. Because being a carrier AS has no symptoms. You can also be a AS. You can't be a AS without having any sign. And you want to say, I am AA. Now, AS will come to you. You marry AS. Now you give birth to SS. You wonder why you are having this drama going on, like the one in the video. Because someone is not saying the truth. They're just assuming that this is me. They are not testing. And you that ask questions, you are not verifying. That's why all this mess happen, all this drama. Do we really need to go through all this? No. If we have done the right thing, and only a laboratory test can confirm your status, nothing again can confirm it. Yes. Number 2 you want to do, we call it genetic talk. Genetic talk as an adult. Just as couples discuss finances, career goals, and where they want to live, genotype talk should be a standard part of deep dating. Talk about it. Don't omit it. Don't delete it on your list. In fact, it should be number 1 on your date. Normalize it. Normalize the conversation. It shouldn't be awkward. You can frame it like, I want to make sure you know, we are both healthy and informed so we can, plan our future together without surprises. Frame it like that. Don't just go to a date and be like, what is your genotype? Oh, because I don't want to marry ASU, because I don't want to give back to SSU. Tell me your genotype. Oh, let me know whether we are going to marry or not. No, you don't do that. No. You have to normalize your conversation. Make it look like you understand what you are talking about. Yes. Let the guy or the man, the lady, know that you are an adult. You are not a baby. And you also understand what you are asking for. What you are asking about. You understand it. So, normalize it. Normalize the conversation. Number 3 you want to do, you want to understand the risk. We call it beyond just excess. The risk. Adult should be aware that sickle cell is not the only concern. You should also look for other hemoglobin variants. And that's what we focus on. We all focus on genotype. We are not talking about hemoglobin variant. AC genotype. If one partner is AS and the other is AC, that is what we're talking about. Hemoglobin variant. What that means is there is a 25% chance of having a child with SC disease. Somebody sent me a message this morning. We are talking about genotype. The person is sending this particular 25% of this thing. That is called hemoglobin variant. It is not just regular genotype. That is where 25% chances come. That is AC genotype. Let me give you a little bit more about AC genotype. AC genotype is like, you refer to it as a person having the hemoglobin C trait. And this is not a disease. And it's not the same as having sickle cell disease either. For almost everyone, having the AC genotype has no impact on daily health. No symptoms, normal blood cell. In very rare cases, some people with AC may have very mild anemia, slightly lower blood count, but it really requires treatment. While the AC genotype is not a medical problem for you, it is very, very important for family planning. This is also very important. Yeah. Now let's talk about SC disease or hemoglobin SC disease, whichever way you want to call it. It's a specific type of sickle cell disease. And that occurs when a person inherits two different abnormal hemoglobin genes. SC disease is, you can call it, cousin to sickle cell anemia. It comes from a specific combination of genes, one from a parent with a S with the S trait, and one from a parent with the C trait. That also happened too. Okay. Now, when understanding the risk, you also want to understand that other variants can also lead to serious blood disorders when combined. We call this beta thalassemia. Okay, thalassemia. Beta thalassemia. That is what that is. You need to be aware of that. Yes. Number 4, you need to consult a genetic counselor. That is why I always say on this show, speak to the right health professionals, the right one. Things like this, a case like this, you don't go and be seeing an ophthalmology doctor, cancer doctor, neurologist. You don't see all those because they have nothing to do with this problem. You see genetic doctor, genetic counselor. If you find that you are a mismatched couple, such as both are AS, you can speak to genetic counselor. Don't be panic, or you want to make rash decision based on fear. Don't do that. We have seen AS marrying each other. Of course, they give birth to SS, just like the one in the video. That is exactly what happened. The wife, because the husband look AS, that is obvious, and he claims to be AS, and he's sure of himself. Maybe he did his own test, is sure of that, just like the way I'm saying my own. But the wife, he didn't give birth to the wife. It's different. People come from different home coming together. Maybe it's a word of mouth. Maybe the guy accepted the word of his wife's mouth, and I just assume that, okay, I am AA, and he accepted without knowing that this is what is going to cost them. And I'm very sure that if the guy is aware of his wife genotype, maybe the wife said the truth, I'm sure he might think twice and say, oh no, we cannot marry because we are this, this will happen. Somebody is lying. Somebody is not saying the truth. And that's why they are in pain. You see, sometimes when we say something, thinking that will favor us, in the end, it comes back to hurt us. That is what is happening. So please don't be panicked. It has happened. But if they have not given birth, is what I want to say now. If you find yourself attractive, you want to date each other, you want to marry each other, you see yourself marrying each other together, be aware that you are going to have SSO. If you want to marry, if you are AS and you want to marry AS like you are sure that you see the test, you verify, you run the test, you see that this is it, and you verify it, and you still want to go ahead with the marriage, it's okay. It's fine. That is where you need to see genetic counselor. It's very important. Because sometimes love means so much to some people, to others, to some, it's nothing. If you are AS and I'm AS, or you are SS, I'm AS, it's no go area. They are not going to do it. But for people who want to go ahead, please seek professional genetic counseling. They can explain the statistic risk, the reality of managing a child with sickle cell, and modern medical options with you. You also want to know your options as well. When they tell you, know your options. We have several options here. Several options. Because modern medicine offers paths for couples who are both carrier but still wish to have children together. Yes. You can do pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, PGD, and this involves IVF, where embryos are tested for the genotype before being implanted, ensuring the child will not have disease. That is number one. If you're doing IVF, they can do that for you. They can also do prenatal diagnosis, testing the fetus during early pregnancy to know the genotype. Though this carrier difficult, this excuse me, these particular options carries difficult ethical, or call it personal, decision for some people. If you want to do prenatal diagnosis, that can be done from 9 weeks of pregnancy, because in humans the fertile period begins at 9 weeks after fertilization of an egg by a sperm and ends at the time of birth. So if you want to do this, you have to do it right from 9 weeks of that pregnancy. You want to test your fetus while you are pregnant to know the genotype. That you can do that. That's another option. Another option is adoption or donor options. You can do that. Some couple chose to use donor eggs or sperm or to adopt. You can go for that options. Yes, instead of giving birth to excess and you're spending money all the time. But the reason why people spend money is because they don't know how to manage it. If you go through all that I told you, making sure the child drinks water, they hydrate themselves, they do away with anything stressful, they don't engage in a physical overexertion, they should be fine. Not even pain they will go through. So some people choose to do adoptions or donor. All these options are for those who feel that the future health of their children is at stake. I mean, they don't want to jeopardize their health, the children's health. Yet they still want to marry one another. These options are for you. Because we have seen this happening everywhere. And the number 6 you want to be conscious of as adult is transparency. You have to be transparent. So that particular video lacked transparency. Yes, that's what happened. Transparency is key. Never hide your genotype from a partner. Don't do that. This is a life contract, except something happened along the way and you have to separate or divorce. I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying anything can happen. If it's not working, it's not working. There's absolutely nothing anyone can do about it. If relationship is not working, it's not working. Everybody has to go on their separate ways. A relationship built on a hidden health status is vulnerable. That is why you have to be transparent to each other. Being honest allows both partners, you and your partner, to make an informed choice about your future. It is important. We lie too much. We lie either because we know that guy has the money, or the woman is intelligent, is beautiful. You don't want to lose that. Oh Lord Jesus. If you don't want to lose all that, when you finally get yourself in that chaos, that beauty, that money will go down for that your error. That's your choice. That is why you need to make the right decision. Make an informed choice about your future. It is important. Parents, teach your children from now. Ask your children, or go do the testing. If you are watching me today and you don't even know your children genotype, I am so disappointed. And you have to do it immediately. Especially when your children are now teenager, teen, adult, and yet they still don't know their genotype. By now, come on. In this age that people are getting married at the age of 20, 23, 24, 25, and you have an adult in your house, and she or he doesn't even have any idea of what genotype is, let alone talking about what his or ours is. Come on now. Please run down to the lab and do the test. If you're an adult, you are living by yourself. By now, you should. Don't assume. Go and do the test. You cannot assume genotype. It is impossible. It is impossible. And you don't want to say, because my mother is AA, and you want to use the way your mother looked like. And my mother has nose, is tall, and I'm tall, he has no, so I am AA. No, you cannot do that. It is impossible. You have to go to the lab and run a genetic testing. Genetic test. Do that. It is important. Now, the bottom line here is love is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. If you are in love, you will understand what I'm talking about. Love is so beautiful, but it doesn't change genetics. That is a fact you need to know. It doesn't. Even if you still want to go ahead to marry that SS or AS while you are AS, it doesn't change it because you love the person. It doesn't. Being genotype compatible or having a plan for genotype incompatibility is one of the highest forms of care you can show for your partner and your future children. If you want to decide to go ahead with it, go for those options that I told you. And if you want to feel this, you want to be like, oh, this is about future of our children, and health is wealth. You want to make sure that you make the right choice. Having said all that, all the lessons or all the information we are giving here, they do not replace or prevent you from seeing your doctor, health professionals. Please. Thank you so much for watching today or tonight. Till next week, I'm Dr. Betty, and here is to Help the Living, guiding you towards a stronger, healthier, and more beautiful body. Good night.